We're at a Sears store to find out why Sears is where America shops.
If one of your Sears tools should happen to break, you bring it back, no questions.
I'm a carpenter, and here at Sears, you get all the tools you need.
My father has Craftsman tools. He put in the will who's going to get them, so no one fights over them.
Sears, where America shops.
Another Home Depot certified advantage. Guaranteed low prices. Home Depot will beat any price from any store on any identical item any day.
Home Depot, Home Depot. Low prices are just the beginning.
Save energy and money with Good Earth fluorescent lighting from Menards. They use 75% less energy than standard fixtures. This brushed nickel wall sconce is $19.99. A matching ceiling light only $29.99. Add style with savings from Menards.
One coat's all you need, so you won't spend that much time on top
this low price.
Why do you think we're called Lowe's?
Now I can take on any project.
Yeah, will we ever finish one?
When it comes to home improvement, Lowe's knows.
There's more for your life at Sears. So shop around.
Smile for Daddy. Give him a high. Pull up a seat, pick up a buy.
Come on in and shop.
It's so hard to stop.
There's more for your life. More for your life at Sears.
We can show you at Home Depot. We can help your dreams come true. So much to see, so much to know, so much in store for you.
At Home Depot, low prices are just the beginning. We have experts in every department who can help you with whatever you need. And our Home Depot people not only know what they're doing, they like what they're doing.
When you're with us at Home Depot, you feel right at home.
Create your dream kitchen with help from Menards. With the best selection of cabinets, countertops, and sinks. Save on beautiful cast iron sinks by Elger. This white Dumont model is just $129. The risotto with extra large bowls is $159. Finish your kitchen with attractive lights by American Fluorescent. This wood frame light in ochre white is $34.87. A stylish crown molding light in ochre white is $68.75. Menards lights your way to savings.
Save big money at Menards.
We kept the things you need and brought in more of the things you want. So the newest thing at Sears is Sears itself.
Come see the newest side of Sears.
I'm going to open on a question. Do you remember where you were on November 14th, 2021? You probably don't remember. It's a regular old day, right? Well, I remember I was driving into the local shopping center and my Sears store said closing. And I was like, wow, Sears closing. You know, when I started working, Sears was the #1 retailer, right? They had the giant building, the Sears Tower, the largest building in North America. They ended up at Hoffman Estates with the waterfall in the lobby. Sears was Sears. They invented Craftsman, Kenmore. Heck, they owned Land's End. What a retailer. What happened that they're gone? And by the way, is being replaced at my shopping center by a Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon. Well, it's not a new story. This has happened over and over and over again. So Dave, I want to ask you a question. You remember Heckinger? How about Builders Square?
No, I'm far too young for that yet.
Yes, you keep that up there. How about Builders Emporium? Like, anybody remember these guys? No, they're gone. They've been gone for a long time, and they were great retailers also. How about Home Depot? You remember them?
Yeah.
Home Depot is pretty good. Similar times, Home Depot thrived. Lowe's almost went out of business, but they turned a corner. I remember going to their first big new store in Charlotte in the 90s, and it was like, wow, Lowe's is going to attack back to Home Depot. Could they possibly do it? Well, they did a pretty good job, right? Some with your help, right? So how about Menards? Sleepy little guy up in Wisconsin? They're an awesome retailer also. So there's a thing about thriving in change and also not thriving in change. So in my career, I've seen all these things happen at retail, and there's one constant. It keeps happening. The one thing that continues to change more than just change itself being a constant is the speed of change. Things are happening so much faster than they were.
And we've seen the speed of change really accelerate over the last few years. Shopping behaviors are changing at a rapid pace. In fact, Jed just mentioned Amazon. 3 out of 4 U.S. households are now Amazon Prime members. That's increased over 50% in just the last few years. People are now shopping differently. In fact, 80% of people report shopping online while standing in a brick and mortar store. And the majority of those are not even using the website of the store they're standing in. So the change is happening dramatically, and what you do to connect your online experience and your in-store experience could make all the difference in whether you thrive or survive.
So what's to be done? Let's think about Sears for a second. They invented home delivery, the catalog. Shouldn't they have invented Amazon, right? They already were in the business. They created it, but they didn't because they didn't adapt. They were in their stores with their old crummy POS system and they never changed. And things are changing more than ever, faster than ever right now. So having a seamless connection between your online and your in-store effort is absolutely crucial. So where do you start? You know, for me, it's always the end user. You start with the end user and you think about them. So in the case of our businesses, we always talk about pros and DIYers, and we'll get into that a little more today. But it's important to pursue deep understanding of how your specific buyers shop your category. And by the way, people are different and categories are different. So there's lots of nuance in how they work. So we told you things are changing. Let's hear directly from pros and DIYers about how their shopping experience have changed over the years. I think you're going to find it interesting.
My name's Corey. I'm a professional musician, and I would say amateur do-it-yourselfer, at-home builder guy. Do-it-yourself to me is just basically any project that your wife or girlfriend pulls up on Pinterest and says, "Hey honey, I want to do this," and you have to somehow watch a lot of YouTube videos and figure out how to do it, and go to your local hardware store to buy enough stuff and make some mistakes along the way, but they're a lot of fun, and at the end of it you got something that you built with your own 2 hands. It's pretty cool. 15 years ago you would, well, you would hope that there was a hardware / general store in your town, being a small town where I'm from. And you just have to go down there and see if they had whatever it is that you had. Hopefully there's somebody on the staff that was knowledgeable that could guide you in the right direction. I guess you kind of just had to go do it in person and kind of spend an entire day going and just simply gathering material for your project.
My name is Travis, and I'm a DIY guy. We build everything from steps to our house to barns to running a farm, 27-acre farm every day, where we have animals and we're getting ready to have more, and so got a lot of DIY projects.
My name is Jim. Worked in NASCAR racing for about 25 years and retired and bought an old farmhouse. Used to be that when I had to buy supplies or tools that I would go to a convenient hardware store, walk the aisles and pretty much get what I needed. I used to do a lot of shopping in more mom and pop hardware stores, and I'm from Connecticut, so we used to have like Cashway Lumber, we used to have New Britain Building Supplies, and they were all owned by families, and it was a little bit more personal. And when you went there, it was usually the only 2 stores that were in your neighborhood, so they knew you and they would get involved with your project, I think, a little bit more than the main big box stores that we have today.
Well, my name's Josue. I've been doing this, HVAC since 2014, so this is 7 years now. And started working with Latour about a year and a half ago. So with them I've been doing a little bit of electrical, a little bit of HVAC. We do mostly commercial equipment, replacement, and a lot of service. 15 years ago, yeah, normally it's literally showing up to the store and kind of praying and hoping that they have what you need.
My name's Mike. I do general construction and renovations. I would rely on the expertise of the people selling me the goods in the store. So I'd rely on the associates to have knowledge. I did used to shop at Busy Beaver, Builder Square, Heckinger's, but those are all names that are pretty much out of business from Lowe's. 84 is still in business, but it's really difficult to get price them to be competitive in the pricing arena. Service is good there, but you just can't justify the price.
What these end users described about their shopping experience of old illustrates the old linear funnel model of the path to purchase. Awareness to consideration to purchase. In years past, brands had to work hard or spend a lot of money to get awareness. In fact, if you asked people a long time ago, how do you build a brand? They would tell you need a lot of money or a lot of time, and preferably both. Then they had to go and get that awareness transferred into consideration. They had to make sure their messaging and their communications were on target to get into that consideration set. And then finally, to close the deal, they had to have strong packaging, great pricing, and even better if you had a good word from a friend they trusted or an associate in the aisle. That would help make the sale happen. But now let's hear about the shopping experience today.
Today, though, things are different. You know, the night before or during the week, during your lunch break, you can go on your cell phone or computer at home. You can see what they have in stock. There's helpful videos. You can YouTube kind of what your project is needing, and then see if the hardware store in town has it. In our case, we have a box store here with Lowe's. And if they have it in stock, you kind of know what you already need. You can even pinpoint down to the aisle what you're needing.
Now with YouTube and everybody putting videos out there and how to do stuff and being able to just think about how to do it yourself.
Now with the internet, I find myself buying a lot of supplies, especially tools. I do use the internet to buy certain tools for this project, but I find it kind of frustrating to search online for the tools, and then a lot of times when you get them, they're not exactly what you want. Once again, that's why I like and enjoy, if possible, to go to the store and actually be hands-on, have the tool in my hand, look at the quality of it, and know that it's going to work and do the job and perform as it's supposed to on the project and on the job site.
Now, Home Depot has the app, so you can go into there, you check their inventory, and you know they're going to have it as soon as you come in. And it just makes it so much easier. You can prepay for stuff, come in, pick it up, and then just head on out to your job site. So you save, just guesstimating, a good 30-40 minutes each time that we come to Home Depot.
Nowadays, a quick Google search will pull up everything you need to know about it, all the specs, the options that are available. All of that stuff is simply at your fingertips 24/7. You know, the big box stores, they've got everything, and just a quick Google search can tell you what tool you need, and then you look on the app of whatever store it is you're going to see if they have it.
I'd rely on the associates to have knowledge. I still do today, but today I don't need that as much because you've got Google, you've got YouTube, you've got all sorts of different resources where people that have experience with a certain product are leaving reviews, feedback, and I come to the store pretty prepared and ready to buy. Today I bought some framing lumber for a platform that I'm building. I basically sat down at home, figured out dimensions of everything I needed, the quantities that I was going to need, and then when it came to actually deciding which store I was going to go to, I did a preliminary shopping cart and found that the price was cheaper here, and I came here.
So now you're hearing the end users talk about how they shop, and it can best be understood in the learn, shop, buy model. It's not linear at all anymore. The end user can come in at any point. They can learn online and go directly to buying, or they can skip straight to buying if they see enough reviews that convince them. So let's break this model down and start with the learning phase.
Researching in the past was you would hope that when you showed up to your local hardware store, there was an old guy that wore a flat bill hat that actually knew what he was talking about and did some work on the project that you were doing. That was the best option you had for research and advice, or maybe your grandpa or something like that. But there was really not a whole lot other than that. Maybe they had the Building for Dummies books back then. I'm not sure if you want to do that. So you had to buy a book, I guess, and read it to do what it is. But now, I mean, the internet's just obviously changed the game. You pick whatever project you want, or like, you know, a lot of times Pinterest will have a link to it. You can YouTube people doing that exact same project 100 times. If it's something simple like building a fence or a lean-to or building or something like that, a storage building, Lowe's, they actually have do-it-yourself carpenters, professionals that have videos on it, and they show you the exact material list that you need, what you need to get it done, and where to go do it. I use my phone and computer all the time to learn about products. Ones that I already know, whether they made improvements to them, what advancements they have in them. Technology is always changing with it, and then of course whether it's in stock is the big deal. Is a big deal for being able to have that power in your phone or your computer before you even leave the house is big. I use social media mostly to research how to do the project and what materials I need, and also it's just so easy to pull up if you're kind of stumped in the middle of a project to see exactly what they did to fix when they come to that crossroads, how to fix it or how to actually build whatever you're building. I use it quite a bit.
15, 20 years ago, to do the research on these projects, you either have to know a carpenter or go to your library, or even just try to look it up on the World Wide Web that we used to have. Now with YouTube and everybody putting videos out there and how to do stuff and being able to just think about how to do it yourself. A lot of times on the Lowe's website you can look stuff up, and they also got how-to project guides on there. YouTube research, a lot of YouTube research. And there's also a couple other websites out there, like Pinterest, or just even looking at Google images of whatever project I'm doing. But primarily going to a Home Depot or a Lowe's website and even just seeing what type of products they got out there to help further me in my project, to make it a lot easier to do that project.
Another part of having today's social media is that when I am in a store and I have a question or I'm not sure, it's nice to be able to use the phone to ask a question to maybe an expert of how to do it, or even watch a video of it very quickly in the store to realize that maybe my direction was maybe not quite right, or once again it was right. So the phone is very helpful to get the right products and tools for some of these projects if you're not sure about it.
The way kind of you learn about products is either you see a commercial on TV, or you see the guy that you're working with something kind of new and shiny that they found when they went to buy something at, your local hardware store. Now, with Facebook, YouTube, Google, online marketing, it's pretty much you get on your computer. I guess, they have this advertisement thing that kind of tracks you and what you like. So you get a lot of advertisement on new products, on new tools. So that's kind of my the way I go about it now.
10, 15 years ago, when you had questions about a product, you either had to call the manufacturer or call a service person, try to find somebody that had the product and talk to them about it. Maybe try to find a pamphlet somewhere that would have the information you're looking for. Now, within 30 seconds on Google, you can find out just about anything you need to know about any piece of equipment, tool, any of that sort of thing.
So I use my computer quite a bit, a lot more than my phone. I've got big carpenter's hands, so I can't really use the devices, small devices. So the computer's a lot more efficient because I can have multiple tabs, multiple sites opening at the same time. And YouTube does offer, if somebody has a channel, you kind of know what they talk about, what they do, what their background is, and when they give you advice on a particular product, it does carry more weight.
So from the learning phase, we heard about how education on the category and products are key in an ever-changing retail landscape. Brands are innovating the way projects are getting done, the way information is being delivered, and a purchase can be won or lost in the learn phase. But first you got to understand where your end user is consuming their learning information, and that will differ by consumer type. Where are they going? What's most helpful? And what do they expect to get out of that content? And how is that different based on the channels that they're shopping or that they want to shop? It can be very different based on the channel and the platform. And you can't be afraid to try new platforms or to try new channels. Once you have a good feel for the platforms and the channels, then it's about creating the content that the consumer needs, that you create it in a way that's most visible, useful, and appropriate for the platform. You want to make sure that as you're building articles, blogs, PR, that all that content is SEO friendly, so that you show up no matter the platform, no matter the channel, in a way that is most influential to your consumer and that can really help them find you quickly. And don't forget the impact of social, especially with the younger generations. Many purchase decisions are being made based on social content and even directly on social channels. The power of your brand can be perceived based on your social following, and they can even help you get to that buy phase. And oh, by the way, even merchants are judging your brand based on your social followers. But beware of this trap. A lot of times it's just about how many followers you have in the merchant's mind. But that can be bought. You want to make sure you have true engagement with your audience. So now let's hear a little bit about the shop phase.
Technology is always changing with it, and then of course whether it's in stock is the big deal. Is a big deal for being able to have that power in your phone or your computer before you even leave the house is big.
For one, price. I look at the prices on different products, see the quality in the product, and matters how important the project is to me on durability. If it's something that I don't need something as durable. I mean, obviously I'm not going to spend the money on a very durable product, to where if it's something I'm going to rely on every day as a homeowner or just an everyday project, I'm going to go ahead and spend the extra little bit of money or do a little more research on the product before I buy it and see who likes it and the pros and the cons of that product.
Through the app, Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever hardware store, most of them already have an app, and it has a whole map of the store. And it tells you exactly on what bin and what section each item is. So if you're looking for, I don't know, let's say a coupling for 3/4 steel pipe, all you gotta do is get on the app, look it up, and it tells you it's gonna be on bay 16 on aisle 20. It's exactly where it is. So all you gotta do is walk over there and it's right there.
Using phone, computer when we're shopping and buying is so much easier now because you can walk into the store, or even before you walk into the store, you already know what it is you're looking for, where it is in the store, if they have it available, how many they have available. Everything is at your fingertips now. That way you're not wasting a trip having to stop your job, get in the vehicle, go to the store, look around for 45 minutes trying to find something, only to find out they don't have it. So then you go back in the car, try to go to place A, B, C, D on down the list. Now, before you even leave the job, you already know where it is, how much it is, how many they have, all of that.
The shop phase is all about narrowing down the choice. But first I got to understand what all the options are. And online content can actually make this more difficult. Endless aisle can actually be very intimidating and not helpful to the consumer. There are probably more options than they even considered, and they're trying to figure out how to narrow this down. So how can you help in the shop phase? Well, first of all, leverage what you've done in the learning phase. A lot of times that can carry over to the shopping phase. Audit how your offering is different in-store versus online. Is your lineup broader online than it is in-store, or vice versa? Are you dealing with more competitors than you are in-store versus online? And have a plan of how to react. The consumer is trying to take all that information in seamlessly and in a very quick amount of time while they're standing in the aisle or whether they're online. How well do you represent your features and benefits? And how consistent is that from online to in-store? Take away as much friction as you can. Make it easy for your end user to shop not only your product, but the entire project. Supply lists, how-to direction helps a customer work their way through the process and gets them to that buy phase. Connect your online marketing and your content efforts to your in-store promotional efforts. You want to make sure they look the same, they feel the same, that the timing's the same. You want them to feel like it's one seamless thing. Participate in the different retailers' online platforms. That way you can be at the top of the page, full exposure, so that it creates that in-store connectivity. So whether someone's standing in the aisle looking at that retailer's app or website, or they're checking out another retailer to see what's going on, you can be present and at the top of the page. It could help you preserve a sale or even steal a sale. Use technology to bring your online content in store. QR codes used to get a pretty bad rap that they were useless, but nowadays they've become so easy for consumers to use, and a lot of people call them flow codes, just as a name change. It's actually creating opportunity to get that on-shelf video content in people's hands. Everyone's walking around with a screen. We've told you that 80% of people are using their phone in store. Give them something to do. Give them tools to use. Use tools like selector tools, how-tos, different things that can engage that customer that's using the phone.
You check out all the reviews. Definitely look for the bad reviews. I always try to look for the ones with the 2 or 3 stars and find out what the problem was, and see if you can reinforce it and make it better. I use online reviews quite heavily to influence my purchasing decision. Obviously these are real users that use them, and if the biggest deal is how many reviews. If you see 500 or 600 people review this thing, it has a good review. They're not faking that review. It means it's a pretty good product that you can probably stand behind.
I really do like online reviews. You do get a good concept of what you are buying before you buy it, and you do get to see what people like or don't like. And I have made choices off of either having a 1-star or a 5-star, or reading the reviews and 20 people saying it's good and 1 person saying it's bad, or vice versa. I don't want to buy a product that if 10 people say, hey, this don't work, I don't want to buy that product. Earlier today, I come up to Lowe's in Asheboro to buy a vacuum cleaner for a Christmas present. The store said actually they had it online, and at this store, got to the store, they didn't have it. I was able to use my phone to look it up and find out that another store, which was another Lowe's, had it to where I could drive to it and purchase it, and was able to actually call the store up ahead and make sure that they could hold it for me.
My phone and computer, mostly to search what I need, get inventory details, because once I know what's there and what's available to me, right now with the pandemic, you have to have those tools, because they said that they'll have it, but you go into their site, check inventory, and there's nothing there. Even though they're advertising it on Google or Facebook or whatever it is nowadays. But it's hard to get anything. So it's either you go on the company's website, check local inventory, and it'll actually tell you inventory of stores around you, so you can kind of know how to go about shopping whatever it is that you need.
Yes, online reviews do play a big deal into the purchasing of products, because that means people have already tested it. Now, obviously you've got to actually look at the reviews and see if the person tested it correctly or not. That does play a big factor into it. You have a lot of people that come in here doing the do-it-yourself jobs, this, that, and the other, and they simply don't know the purpose of the tool and can give it a bad review. But yes, online reviews do play a big part in the purchasing power of certain products, because certain ones are built better or worse than others.
Ratings and reviews, they're more important than ever, and they can allow your end user to validate a purchase very quickly. Also, it can allow a customer to go straight to the buy phase. If they see enough reviews, and they're good reviews, and the crowd says it's good, they'll buy. But be careful. You want to make sure these reviews are authentic. There are tools available now to both end users and merchants and your competitors that can call out fake reviews. So make sure that as you're getting those ratings and reviews, that they're authentic and real. Pricing, just like the good old days, pricing is still an important part of the puzzle here. You want to make sure you have the right price that puts you in your target's choice set. But you got to make sure that pricing is consistent across the channels. You can look at map policies or different ways that you can control the pricing, so that as your consumer goes from channel to channel, as they're pulling out their phone to check pricing, they don't see wild swings in price. This can create immediate distrust and can create friction that could stop a sale in its tracks. SKU consistency. As you go from retailer to retailer and online, many customers will price check, inventory check, and they're looking for consistency across the SKUs. Now, we've all played this game where we're going to put the same product in each channel and just create a model number difference or a slight difference. This can create friction for the customer. So you got to be smart about it and look for ways to call out clear differences or clear reasons why this product might seem different than the other. Again, it's an opportunity to give confidence to the customer to go through with the sale versus create doubt if they see a difference in the SKU. Keep in mind, there's tools available now like Honey and Capital One's pricing tool that scrubs the internet to find the best price and promotions. So as you look at your promotions and you're maybe doing something channel specific, understand that consumer now has better visibility of that than ever before. It's another place that can create an opportunity where you're going to push sales to a certain channel, but it can also be a problem for you if it slows down the thinking process and it makes them second guess making that purchase while they're standing in the aisle. And finally, consistency is key. No surprises is the goal. Does your product deliver what the online content promised? Does it look the same? Does it feel the same, or the way it was portrayed? If you spend a ton of money on high quality content to give a premium feel to your product, but then your packaging comes off as cheap, you've likely caused a problem for your customer, and they're going to struggle to figure out exactly, is this the right product? Is this what I thought it was? Again, another place that you can slow down the process for the consumer and lose the sale.
Channel management is important because the end user has nearly unlimited access to information about your brand and your products. I mean, the end user is now an expert. They're an expert at learning, they're an expert at shopping, they're an expert at buying, right? And to them, the store, the phone, it's all one thing. Am I at Home Depot? Am I on Amazon? Yes, I'm at both at once. It's one thing. So let's take a look at tape measures. Tape measures, we all have them, right? You probably have several of them. Who's the leader? Well, I mean, we're all in the industry. We know who the leader is. It's Stanley. They invented the thing. Or maybe it's DeWalt or Craftsman. It's got to be Stanley, right? So tape measures are pretty important. You walk into Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards and you see just gazillions of them and tons of space. Price points ranging from $1 to $50. It's pretty wild. If you look at traffic on Google, there's over 201,000 searches a month for just the term tape measure. Just tape measure. If you go deeper than that, the search volume gets really, really high. So people are spending a lot of time learning about tape measures. In fact, if you look a little deeper, you can see that Stanley gets 30,000 clicks a month to their website just on the term tape measure. Stanley, 30,000 clicks a month? That's a ton. So you got to ask yourself, if there's 201,000 Google searches, Stanley gets 30,000, where'd the other 170,000 clicks going to? Well, there's other brands like Kamalon and Lufkin, Milwaukee, you got Cobalt, you got Husky. Well, those are private brands, but you know, to the end user, they're real brands and they're probably searching for them as well. So where are they going? Well, maybe they're going to Amazon. Amazon sells tape measures. In fact, since we're all in the industry, it's got to be Stanley that's winning on Amazon, right? The number one ASIN on Amazon is from a company called Tape 16, eTape 16. Good old eTape 16. You guys all know that brand, right? You all have one. Never heard of that brand before. One of their items is doing $2 million. Just one tape measure. All right. So Stanley's doing a pretty good job on Amazon as well. But our work suggests that eTape 16, Lil Champ, Lexavon, and Spec Ops are actually doing the same volume as Stanley on Amazon. That's got to have impact. So let's think about what's going on. And what's going on with Amazon, right? And remember, Amazon itself is an algorithm. It's really a search engine that sells stuff. And the algorithm is optimized to make you buy things. They're serving up eTape 16 because people like it, right? They're not getting returned. They have good reviews and it sells well, right? So that's got to have something going on. And by the way, how big is online and tape measures? It's got to be tiny, right? Our work suggests it's about 20% of the business and growing. So it's not tiny. So to go a little further, we got to talk about who uses tape measures. Well, of course, we got pros, we got DIYers, right? But let's go a little deeper. Let's start with DIY. So what are DIYers using for tape measures? Well, when I use a tape measure at my house, it's usually to hang a picture, right? Maybe sometimes my wife and I are measuring space for new furniture or that new home desk that we all just bought, right? We got to make sure it fits. Sometimes we do bigger things. Like I've built a deck before. Wasn't the best deck, but you do use a tape measure for that. I also used to work for a company called Swing and Slide, and probably built 100 swing sets when I was a sales guy there. And you have to really measure twice before you cut because you make mistakes. Tape measure is really good for that. So DIYers have all different uses. But how about the pro? The pro's got to be immune to these weirdo brands like E-Tape 16, right? They know better. It's their job. So hold on a minute. We talk about the pro like the pro is this super rational, like robotic, emotionless being that does everything perfectly and they know all. That's not true. They're actually people, right? Some of them are young. They're 20-year-old pros. Some of them are my age, 55. You think that has an impact on buying? Do you think a 25-year-old pro knows how to use a phone better than I do? I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they use social media very differently than I do. There's other things that make pros different. Some pros are immigrants, right? Some are in unions, right? Some are northerners, some are southerners. There's all sorts of different things. Some, they have different kinds of jobs. Some are electricians, some are painters, some are roofers. They're people, and they have different biases. So let me give you an example where I first learned this. I first saw this when I was working for Empire Level. Our company was hired to help them grow their business. And what we learned was that pros wanted accurate and durable levels. Accuracy was important, but if it broke on the job site, it wasn't good for them. So we set out to build the best level in the world, and we launched the True Blue E70 level, and I was part of the team that brought it to market and created it, and I was so proud. I'm still proud, all right? So we need new HVAC at home. Got a bunch of people in the house, and I go up to the guy that seems to be the boss, and I'm like, boss guy, I've got a present for you. This is the greatest level in the world. I helped design it. I'm so proud of it, and I want to give it to you as a gift. And you know what he said? No, thank you. I'm like, what? It's the greatest level in the world. I helped design it. And you don't want it? And he goes, no, I like the plastic ones. And I'm like, plastic levels are terrible. How is it possible you want a plastic level? And he said, well, you know, I crawl around attics and crawl spaces all day long. I want something little, small, and light, fits in my pocket. And by the way, HVAC doesn't have to be all that level. It just kind of needs to be sort of level, right? And I was like, oh my God. And then another crazy thing happened. The guy standing next to him goes, I'd like that level. They have the same job. How is that possible? One guy doesn't want it, the other guy does want it. Because they're people. They have different reasons for buying things. And when you think about different trades, you know, an electrician kind of uses a level. How about a guy that pours concrete? Water runoff matters, right? How about a guy building a foundation? How about a carpenter? It's all different, and their own biases have impact too. So back to learn, shop, and buy. Amazon has tons of brands across different categories, including levels, that we've never heard of that are selling lots of stuff. I'll give you another example. Big brand, cordless drills, Amazon, one ASIN, $50 million a year. $50 million, one ASIN for cordless drills. I mean, I never even thought about Amazon being in the tool business until recently, and my God, that's a big business. $50 million, one item. So, a few things to remember. People are people. And like all people, we all have different motives. And don't forget, pros are people. And therefore, the learn, shop, buy model is a great way to consider how people shop differently. Tape measures is a big business. You can tell that the retailers are committed to it. You can tell that tape measures matter to the users when we talk to them. And it demonstrates how important channel management is. I mean, we've seen people talking about using phones and being in store all at once. And if the experience is not thought out and consistent, it's going to cause you trouble. So focus on these end users, focus on how they learn, shop, and buy, and make sure you deliver for all the various types of people that buy your products. All right, a few key takeaways. One thing is clear. If your retail brand wants to thrive in this changing landscape, you must connect in-store and online. Shopping is kind of one thing now. We walk around with our phones in our hands all the time. So what does winning channel management look like in this kind of retail environment?
First, you want to understand how your end user navigates your category. Every category is different, and every end user is different. It's too simplistic just to say pro. A plumber from the Northeast that's 50 years old is going to be way different than a roofer from the Southeast that's 30 years old. And a category is going to be different as well. So make sure you understand how those end users learn, shop, and buy. What most influences online and in-store, and where can you get the most impact? What roles do the different platforms and retailers play in your category, and how can you make them work together to win? All in all, you need to make sure you invest in the research. Don't guess. Make sure you understand it better than anyone else. You want to be consistent. Regardless of the channel, the platform, the format, or the element of the marketing mix, be consistent. Consumers are looking to be able to jump from channel to channel, platform to platform, and if you're not consistent there, you will lose a sale. You can't come off premium in your content and then feel cheap in the aisle. That's going to create a surprise for the customer, and you need to limit that friction if you want to close the sale. You want to make sure that your digital presence is highly visible. Make sure you're on page 1 of Google or any other content platforms, and to do that, you've got to make sure that you strengthen your SEO in all of your content. That will help connect everything together and make sure you rise to the top. Invest in search where you can and look at other platforms, inspiration tools like YouTube and Pinterest. These are great ways to stay in front of your customer and make sure as they're going through the process, they're learning, but also as they're shopping, they're getting you to that buy phase. And as you connect all that together with your channel partners, work with your channel partners to make sure that content is all connected. With your retailer partners, make sure that you're leveraging all of their tools. All the major retailers have in-store programs for consistency and planogram integrity, all of which you are highly encouraged to participate in. Now you're being encouraged to participate in their online advertising and media platforms. These actually create great opportunities for visibilities as consumers shop the category, even when they're in store. If they're checking inventory that's out at another retailer, or they're looking for something else on a price, your brand can pop up and either validate that sale and make that sale go through, or you could even possibly steal a sale from a competitor. Don't shy away from the e-commerce opportunities outside of the retailers. I know in the past it was kind of an awkward conversation to have with a merchant when you showed up in other e-com platforms. But now retailers and merchants are understanding the role of the path to purchase, and you can actually drive sales for that retailer if you have good content on other e-com platforms, especially Amazon. And speaking of Amazon, don't be afraid to establish a presence on Amazon, but you have to take it seriously and manage it well. Amazon can be useful across all phases of Learn, Shop, Buy. But make sure you're using Seller Central. It'll give you control, it'll give you consistency that will help give that merchant peace of mind that the prices are going to stay consistent and that it's a level playing field. Participate in their programs at Amazon as well to drive visibility and productivity, but again, manage that content, the reviews, the pricing tightly. If you're just checking a box for Amazon and you're putting out a higher price so you're protecting that brick and mortar, you're actually going to cause friction for the customer. Amazon built their entire business around being convenient and customer-centric. You should think about this too. Meet the end user on their preferred platform. Meet them in their ways to shop. Work through the channels and think about how the consumer bounces from each one and create those clear connections. And most importantly, anticipate their needs. Anticipate the questions they're going to ask. Drive that content, whether that be an in-store content piece or an online content piece, so that you're already answering those questions as they're working through the process. Leverage social media. It can range all the way from the learn phase to the buy phase, and it can inspire and validate your brand and even close the deal. Understand the key influencers in your category, whether those be people or organizations that are thought leaders. Make a plan. Where do you want to be and what do you want the end user to end up with coming from those influencers? They can make a big difference and they can drive people to putting your brand into that shop phase or even the buy phase. Don't just amass a following of people that you bought or are bots. Build an engaged following through relevant and helpful content. This will get you much more shelf life with the consumer and touch many more people. Test and learn new platforms. I got to tell you, I think TikTok's silly, but it's working for many brands right now. So stay on top of what's happening, test and learn your way in, and find what works for your category and your brand. Look for ways to connect your social with your channels. And in some categories, social can actually be a channel in itself. Finally, embrace the technology. Use the different technology tools to educate your customers and the associates by making the right content more readily available and useful across all of your channels and platforms. Both your customer and the associates will use this content to help them learn about your product and category and help pull them into that buy phase. You can win in these spaces. If you don't take advantage of the technology tools available, someone will, and whoever provides that associate or that customer in the aisle with the resources they need to make a decision will win. If you think about it, when I used to work in stores and someone would come up to me and ask me a question that I had no clue about, the best chance I had was to either find another associate that didn't know what they were talking about or leverage the package and literally read the package. Nowadays, if I was faced with that situation, I would immediately pull my phone out, and whatever content I came to first would be the content that would win. So make sure you're keeping that in mind of how useful that can be to both that associate and the customer. And leverage the technology to monitor your category and your competition. There are a lot of technology tools out there today that can help you understand what's happening in search, both spend and quality of search. On Amazon, from your reviews, are they fake or not, to what kind of spending is happening on Amazon, to even what kind of sales are happening on Amazon. So look into those tools, make sure you understand that, and it'll help you stay a step ahead in your category and most importantly, of your competition.
Dave, great job summarizing 8 things we can do today. Sort of wrapping it up, you got to understand what your consumer or your end user is feeling. You got to walk in their shoes. So research really matters, right? That's always something we come back to at Sales Factory, is understanding the prime prospect and their problems and how your brand can solve those problems. Another thing that we really think is important is you've got to strategize often. Things are changing fast. You got to stay ahead of the changes. So how do you do things differently today than yesterday? And by the way, this isn't just pandemic speak. This is the new normal. The new normal is rapid change, all right? And that's not going away. So stay agile, all right? Think about it. TikTok, a billion users in just 2 years. I don't even know what TikTok is, clearly, right? So think about that. And think about the smart tape measure that we showed. It was #1 tape on Amazon. Think about, again, that cordless drill, $50 million a year, one SKU or ASIN. It's unbelievable. So what is happening in store and online is really one thing. You got to wrap it together in your head. It's not like it used to be that we had different programs for different people. It's all one thing. So keep thinking about what's next. One last thing. Thanks for your time. Mark and Cleveland Research, we appreciate you having us. And if you have any questions, please reach out.